Good evening, Patrick Machugh. How are you?
Good evening. I'm doing all right. How are you?
So, is it Patrick or is it Paddy?
I think on a Sunday or my parents it'll be Patrick. Everyone else it's Paddy.
And have you always been Paddy? Where did that? Do you remember where it came from?
I have no idea. It started in Badminton. In
Did it?
school I used to be Pat, but that made me sound like a 90-year-old granny. And then it moved on to Paddy.
And when did the badminton start? Were you very young in that?
Um, I think I first picked up a badminton racket when I was about 10 or 11.
You're jumping ahead of my questions here. Then you started playing 10 or 11. So tell me, sorry, I'll go with the question. So do you have any middle names? I'm going to ask that.
Yes, I do. Robin Douglas.
Hyphenated is that?
No, two separate ones. So my
Robin, Patrick,
dad and my
Robin.
uncle's name.
Oh, is it? Nice one. Patrick Robin Douglas McHugh. Wow.
Yeah,
There we go. And your age?
28. Had to think about that one.
You have to think about your own. And your home area. Where are you from originally?
So originally from Kinross area, so a bit out in the sticks.
Yeah. And how? Yeah, I'm going to go with the questions. What? How did brothers or sisters?
Yeah, so I got one older brother. So he's how old is he? He's 3 years older than me. So he's 31.
And is he a badminton player?
He used to play. So he started before me, and then I think he got a few injuries and stopped when he was about 16 or 17. But he was probably the one that got me into it.
Did he? And where? Obviously, Kinross is quite a small place. Where did you play?
So I think the first place I played was in a little town called Kelty. It was like a community hall. There was a club on, and then up the road we had. So I'm just outside of Kinross. So there's like a wee village called Kinesswood. So there's a wee village hall with like the lowest ceiling you can imagine.
Really?
So that's probably where my doubles career started because I couldn't hit a lift.
The low? No, you couldn't clear. No, absolutely. And it's so it was just you and your brother, or was it? And how regularly did you play?
I think when I was first started, it was maybe like twice a week. It was just up at the local club, bit
Yeah.
of fun. And then I think it was like the year before. So he was in high school ahead of me. The year before I went to high school, I got invited along to like the high school club. So got into that like a year early, and just there was a few coaches in there, and kind of all
This is
this.
Kinross High School, is it?
Yeah,
Is that a big school? It is quite big, isn't it? I think I remember seeing it. It's quite a big school, isn't it? There's a modern thing now, I think, isn't there?
yeah. So my last year they just built a new one. I think it's maybe like 1,000 people, not huge.
Yeah. It's big. I guess it's a big catchment. Was there people coming from all over to like see the club that you went to? Was it what was it called actually? That club?
I think it was just Kinross Badminton Club.
That was the one at the high school. But what was the? Was there a club you played in that village or not really?
Oh, that's testing my memory here. I can't remember what that's called.
And was it? Did he go there for very long?
What one?
The first one when you first started. When you only go twice a week or whatever. Was that twice a week when you went to that little hall?
I think I was only there until I think I was only there for a year, and then after that was everything was kind of the high school club, and then other things got gradually added to it.
How did you get to the? How did you get from being picked? I suppose when you were at high school, how long did you play for at school in the school club kind of thing?
Um, I suppose it goes back to I think it was Russell Hogg was the coach at the time at Kinross High School. It's him initially, and then Karen Stalker took over the club, and it was just kind of from there. She was taking obviously the whole squad of people for sessions. I think just if my memory serves me right, just kind of came up to me and my brother one time and just asked if we wanted to like come along to another session or any individuals with her, and
Yeah.
kind of all just went from there.
So it wasn't. I mean, I don't know if you watched Martin's last night. It was such a different experience to what he had. He was so kind of thrown right in a very early age, very, very serious. Yours sounds a lot more social right?
Yeah, well, I was really rubbish when I when I first started.
It's
Um,
such a small place. How could you learn, right? I mean, how are you?
yeah, so I remember like started going to a few sessions down in Dunfermline again, different kind of junior squads that were set up back then. And I think I struggled to win a match
Yeah.
um, if we were playing games, and it just kind of um, yeah, I wasn't very good when I first started, and it just kind of I just started picking off people, I suppose, as I went through the age groups, and it was
You've obviously
and then
always
my
been very, very competitive, right? Was it your brother that drove that on, really, do you think, when you did you always want to beat your brother?
yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Really?
Yeah, so I wanted to beat my brother. That was probably the main one. My dad played a little bit as well.
Right.
I wanted to beat him because initially I used to play tennis, so I picked up a tennis racket when I was, I think, 5 years old, and then
Right.
started doing a bit of both as I got older.
How long did you stop the tennis quite quickly?
I think I
I suppose it's
stopped.
winter, isn't it? It's a league thing. It's a weather thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I think I stopped tennis when I was about 14. So when it was kind of like in between badminton starting to get a bit more serious, and I couldn't really deal with the racket changes.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what happened to me as well. I played squash and badminton, and it's a different thing. Move your shoulders and all that stuff is so different. And I ended up starting to hurt my shoulders playing squash, and then going to the weight difference of the racket is such a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's incredible.
squash is a brutal game as well.
Yeah, I do like it, to be fair, but it's pretty difficult. There's no courts around me now. Is there squash around you as well, in the high schools?
Well, I'm in Glasgow now, so yeah, there's
Oh yeah.
squash courts up at the Glasgow Uni. Back home, I think yeah, there's squash courts in the local sports centre as well.
Yeah, cool. Where did you start playing? That's cool. Your first racket, do you remember that?
Oh God, first racket. I think it was a Muscle Power 99.
Muscle power sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's
bright yellow.
was it cool. So when did you stop playing with your brother or against your brother, I should say? What age would you say
Um,
that is? So
prob- Probably when I was about 16, so played with him for quite a few years. He's by that stage he was kind of just I think he was struggling with his knees.
was he?
Um, I seemed to be travelling to, I think by that stage, going through to Edinburgh, going through to Glasgow every so often for training sessions. So yeah, kind of when he stopped, that's kind of just when it faded out with him.
And then what happened from there? Where did you get to the bit where you took it really, really seriously and the training really ramped up? Do you remember
So
that?
I think really test my memory tonight, but I think
Sorry,
it's under 15. I won my first. I think it was under 15, my first national title, or under 17. I won a singles title at under 17,
Were you a
and
singles
that
player mostly, Paddy?
um, I was when I was a youngster. So one, I think I won the under 17 nationals and then stopped singles.
You thought it's not going to get any better than this. And do you still
Yeah.
play? Do you still play singles now for fun, or not really?
Well, I'm kind of forced into it when I'm coaching,
Yeah, of
because
course.
obviously with the restrictions just now, everything has to be kind of singles based.
Uh,
A lot of the juniors I coach play singles, so I end up getting forced into
yeah,
playing singles games and ruining my body.
yeah. I don't know if you watch any of the. Did you watch any of the? Your video's gone, but no matter. Did you watch any of the Andy Cook video interview?
I've not, but he used to coach me a little bit.
Did he? Well, you should watch it. It's actually really interesting. We talked about the fact that he wasn't a particularly great player himself personally, and somebody told him that he had an aptitude for coaching.
Yeah.
So he went into coaching, and we talked a little bit about the fact that he's clearly a really good and really well respected coach. And so many people in badminton want to compete and want to train with people who have been very successful personally, right? And just the difference of how you get approached by, or if he was met by somebody that says, "Well, what am I going to learn from you? You're rubbish," kind of idea. That, you know what I mean by that, though. Do you know the arrogant? The kind of, I guess it does help as a coach. And then you've got the opposite of that. You've got Martin last night was talking about Kenny Middlemas saying obviously he's been as high in the game as he could possibly get, and that's where I want to be. So you feel, again, if you're being taught, you feel more confident with that. I guess that's probably what you're going to get. You're going to get people like that. You say, God, look what he's achieved. That's what I want. So whatever he did, that's what I'm going to do, kind of idea, right?
Yeah, I suppose it's a good, like for me when I was a junior growing up, like I was saying, I wasn't the best when I was young, but having these targets, whether it was because I trained quite a lot with like the older players, so like Russell, Bill, Gordon Haldane, I used to train with all them. So again, they're stronger, they're bigger than me. It was a good kind of, it was a test
Physical.
for me.
It's a
Yeah.
physical thing. And what do people think of? What do they think about? How long have you been coaching for? Is that a long time?
So I started coaching about 2 years. I've been doing it now.
And what do people think of? The principal problem I've got is that coaching's hard, right? It's physically, if somebody pushes you, if Andy Cook, when I hear about Andy Cook's sessions, right, I think about it and I think, right, okay, if you're paying for somebody to really beat you up, right, kind of thing, and at what point does somebody say, hold on a minute, this is a bit absurd, I'm paying for this pain now? Do you get that or not really? Do people say, well, I'm not doing that, listen, I'm paying you, we'll do what I want, thanks?
I think you've got to have a bit of give and take. But with the juniors, they're so keen just to play. So I think they love it. And then I do take like a few kind of club players where you do of and going to be hard, and then you just need to like tone it down and just make sure they get through the hour or two.
Is that a long? Is it a 2 hour session? And how much physical stuff is it? Andy had a great. You should definitely watch that video. He's had a lot of good chat about the training programs they had, and when people come for coaching, do they come once a week? Do they come every other day? What?
Really depends, to be honest. Most people will do 1 or 2 sessions a week.
Right.
Just depends on again what their goals are. Everyone's got different goals in badminton. From like some of the under 15 kids I coach, they want to be winning the nationals. To like, I think you had Alan Evans on, who's I've been coaching him a little bit when I've been through in Edinburgh and he's been through here, and he's obviously wanting to just work on like different things, and a junior player is. So I would quite like having a mix of players to coach because it keeps it fresh. It's not just all the same kind of routines and personalities that you get.
Is it all one-on-one you do, or do you get groups as well?
So I do a few group stuff. So I take some like the under 17, under 15 national squads,
Nice.
and like the senior development squad now as well. So yeah, that's group stuff, and then a Chinese badminton club in Glasgow I do as well. So
A good mix. And how many people I don't know if you heard Dougie Walker talking about how many people he could coach at one time, kind of thing. How do you manage with that? Also that I guess they're mostly advanced players, more that can play, right? You don't do beginners, right? They can play, right?
Yeah, most of them can always play to a certain level. I prefer doing the one-to-ones because I quite like doing like technical sessions.
Yeah.
The biggest group I'll ever take is probably like 12 to 16 people, so it's fairly manageable. It's not hundreds of kids running around.
It's interesting the idea of a club like the Chinese Badminton Club coming to you and saying, "Could you teach us all?" kind of thing. We'll all jimmy together. We'll all put a fiver in, whatever it is, for an hour, once a week, and you'll come and we'll all do whatever. And again, in that situation, do people have their own? Do you guide it and say, okay, this week we're all going to do X, or does each one person say, I want to do a bit of this, or what?
So the Glasgow Chinese Badminton Club actually got quite a good setup. So they've got like a beginner, intermediate, and advanced team. So before the pandemic hit, I was taking the advanced team, so which is a group of like 8 to 12 players, and we usually just went through like a 4-week block of bit of singles, working on various things. Next 4-week block, potentially go into some doubles and just keep it fresh for them. I know Ray Stevens was another coach there.
Oh yeah.
He used to take the intermediate squad, and then some other coaches took the beginner squad. So it was
I think is that Bob Ula that takes the beginner squad. I'm sure he's involved there.
I think he does Shuttleworks, which is another squad that's based at the Coburn Centre.
All right, that's right. Yeah, yeah. He's a nice guy. That was a good interview, actually, all about beginners and how he takes a group of beginners and sees potential in somebody and says, "I can't do any more with this," and just moves it on. He's actually, interestingly, like Andy Kirk and most people have said, I like the advanced players. Interesting. He's only interested in the beginners. Like, loves the idea of people coming in from nowhere, right? And Govan, I think he's like Govan, I think, where most of the people are of, and he just says loads of people come in and just making them love it. How good is that? I think that's fantastic, right?
Yeah, no, Bob's really good at that kind of stuff. I've seen him when he's been taking some of those sessions, and it's the ones I would probably not want to take. So
I agree. I agree. Okay, let's go back to questions. They're interesting. Do you remember your first ever racket? That was a Muscle Power 99. What was the name of your first club? Kinross. Do you remember the shuttles you first used in Kinross? Well, obviously, when you first played with your brother in that small hall, was that plastics or feathers? Have you always been? Do you remember?
I think it was feathers, actually.
Feathers, yeah. Wow, that's cool.
We got treated well.
You certainly did. That's good. And who was your first coach, did you say? Russell Hogg?
No. I'll put it down as Karen Stalker. So she was my personal coach from the age of 12 to 18.
So you've obviously, like from 12, did she coach other people when you were 12?
I think so, yeah. She had a group of other players. So, like, she was coaching Emma Mason. I think she used to coach Duncan Leith and Peter Hockey.
I'm just interested in what you said. I was pretty crap. I just wondered if everybody else thought you were pretty crap. If she must have seen you and thought he's got potential. Were you a fighter, or were you quite aggressive? Were you quite determined? Kind of. Do you think?
I would say I'm probably quietly determined. I was always pretty focused and like hard working.
Are you quite a poker face player? Are you quite aggressive, or do you quite poker face? Do you like to keep it cool? Do you give away the fact that you're stressed out, or do you like to play the cool player?
That's a good question. So if you go back to the year that me and Martin qualified for Glasgow 2014, I wasn't cool at all. After that and a hefty fine, I was.
Did you got cool. Fine? You got a fine? What did you do?
I accumulated a number of yellow cards over the year.
Wow.
For various small misdemeanors of squashing shuttles and smashed rackets, or one smashed racket. After that, I calmed down.
You had a word with yourself, and after that, yeah. You do get people like that, though, don't you? You get people that you watch and you think, I always think the Asians are so cool. You're like, oh my God, do you really care? And even now, I don't know about you, I watch badminton on YouTube and I think to myself, are they even trying? I mean, I'm really going for it. I'm quite passionate about it.
Yeah, no, I think that year took it out of me.
Yeah, but I think now I think about like Martin's interview, and he was talking about how professional it was and how it was just business. I guess when it starts from such a young age and it's like work from the beginning, it's like it is your work. You're just focused on it, and it's not a personal kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot of sacrifices, even from the age of, I suppose, like you're a junior, from 12 to 18.
Yeah. Is there? But like all your pals are going out and you're drinking and you can't do this and you can't do that.
Yeah, pretty much. Every weekend I was probably playing a competition. Yeah. Most evenings it started, I was training most of the time. So yeah, it was a lot. You get used to saying no to a lot of social events. But at the end of the day, I suppose it's worth it in the end when you get the results.
Have you watched any of the? I keep on going on about Carolina Marin's interview documentaries. Have you been watching that?
Yeah, that's
serious. That's serious.
Impressive.
Her coach is a hard guy. He's serious.
Very tough, yeah.
I think he's got issues, but there you are. So, do you remember your first? What was your first trophy? I'm talking going back. I'm talking a long time ago. Your first trophy.
I think it was
Kinross High School, maybe.
It was probably Kinross High School, yeah. And then after that, it's probably like a schools tournament.
Did you do a lot of that, like playing around? Is Fife? Is it big? I mean, obviously you've got Grangemouth. There's a lot going on there, but Is
in terms of like,
a lot of players, a lot of good competition? Do you have a lot of competition from very local to where you are in Kinross, or where was the competition about? Perth and stuff, or what do you think?
yeah, there was up in Perth. There was a few good players. Yeah, the Fife area. There was a few players, but yeah, there wasn't like a whole load of tournaments around that area. It was just more different. Like I used to have to travel just to different areas for the actual training itself.
Yeah, Dunfermline will probably be the closest, right? There was a lot going on there for sure.
Yeah.
And did you play? When did you stop club badminton, Paddy?
I suppose when I moved through to Glasgow when I was 18, so I was always, I suppose, club badminton. I used to play. There was a Monday night club in Cowdenbeath or Dunfermline with the older players. So I kept going to that right up until I moved through to Glasgow because it was pretty beneficial still playing with all those guys.
Yeah. There's some good players, Dunfermline, and I lived in Aberdour for a little bit, and there's a good club in Burn Island. There's
Yeah.
a lot of good guys over that way. Yeah, older guys as well. Actually, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but there's some really good players. And your most successful of your favorite event, most successful and favorite event growing up, was that singles? Do you think? Up until what age did you stop playing singles? Do you think?
Yeah, singles up until under 17, and then moved over and focused more, towards doubles after that.
Who was your main competition growing up? I'm going to put your brother for that.
Yeah, he was the main one, but then we had quite a strong age group, so I had like Martin's brother Michael,
Yeah,
Craig Pollock, Paul van Rietveld.
Oh yeah, he's East Lothian.
Yeah, so they were all the ones when I first started going to tournaments. Those are the ones that I kept getting absolutely hammered off.
Oh yeah, they were the ones. Wow. And were we playing tournaments in Edinburgh as well? And was that?
Yeah, I remember playing a few out in like Trinent and Meadow Mill and
Meadow Mill, yeah, that's where Paul. That's his. I remember playing with his brother. He's got a brother that played as well. Can't remember what his.
yeah, he's got an older brother. I can't remember his name.
That's right. Yeah, I played with him a long time ago. I played with him, and they have a Christmas tournament over there, and I remember playing with it. It's like a draw out of a hat job. So that question is not for you. What clubs do you play now? You don't play in a club. But one thing I am interested in is now you're not pro anymore, right? But you're coaching and you've got your business, which is amazing. Do you think you'll get back to a club bit? Do you think you'll get back to a thing you think? When do you play now? Other than coaching?
That's it. So just when I'm coaching, that's when I'll be on court. Apart from that, I'm not. You won't find me on court.
Do you see it? Do you see it? What I'm interested in is you've played at such an exceptional level, right? Right. So what I'm interested in is you're obviously really competitive, as most badminton players are. What I'm really interested in is how do you go back? Or, will you ever be able to go back to going and playing with people that are just? I mean, I know I'm all right, and there's people worse than I am, right? And I hate that, right? I hate going back, right? Now you've been at the level that you're up here. Is there a club, right? Is there a club for ex-international players where they go and play now and they're quite happy in the, how does that happen? What do? You just become I don't know, you tell me.
I think for me I played for, so say 10 or 11 till I was 27, I think it was. So I think for me, just coaching's almost enough time on court just now.
Is it?
If I'm playing the juniors, I'll still be competitive and still want to beat them.
Really?
You
sound like a terrible coach.
You don't want to lose to someone you coach.
You'll be trying to beat people that are 17 and 18 coming through, and that's your competition, is it? Does that become your competition?
That's my new competition.
I see. You try and find the new amazing talent coming through, and that becomes your competition.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I don't play for fun anymore. But I enjoy other sports. I've gone back, played quite a lot of tennis.
Very good. Yeah.
I mean, in summer when we were allowed to, I was playing maybe like 2-3 times a week for like a couple of hours at a time. Started playing a little bit of golf to just at the driving range.
Yeah, it's nice. I like golf.
Um,
Not very good, but I like it.
and yeah, just general keeping fit. It's just something you're used to. You're used to doing training.
That's what I was going to say. I want to ask that. I mean, I'll come back to that with Martin as well. You know, you've had years of being the training program, right? Was intense, right? When you went, went through. That's what you did, right? That was your day, right? Most of
Yeah.
it, although there was technical stuff, there was a lot of it to keep fit. That's what Martin was talking about. And so you're kind of pre-programmed to do things all the time. How do you, when you finish, like now, what do you do? How do you keep it? Do you still feel the discipline? Or is there an element of you that says, I've had years of doing that, and now I'm going to do what I want?
To a certain degree, so with alcohol,
Yeah.
it's you're free to have a drink at night, let's
Yeah.
say. But no, in terms of actual like training, because of the business as well, it's focused towards like the fitness market. We target quite a lot of CrossFit kind of functional gyms, so I'm in and around that still quite a lot, and I enjoy doing it still, and just something. It's a different stimulus almost.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's yeah. I understand now. You couldn't be around. Can I go back to that drinking thing? So when
Yeah.
you were when you were professional, right? And you know when you're at home, you're in control of your own stuff. You do whatever you want to do. Could you blow out? Or you can't really blow out, I suppose, can you?
Not really, no. Like you could never. I'm not saying we never went out on a night out,
Yeah.
but you've always got in the back of your head, kind of like, oh, I've got this training on Monday, or you've got this tournament in 2 weeks' time. So
Is
like
it?
you would naturally. You're a young you're a young
Yeah.
guy in
Yeah.
Glasgow. You're going to go out and have a few drinks. But yeah, you had. For me anyway, my point of view is always kind of like, oh, I need to just kind of.
Have you always
It'd
been
never
really
be in.
sociable with your players as well when you were going out and things like that? Were you going out with people that you played with and that kind of thing? Was it all a big group like that, or did you have a lot of friends outside of it, or
It
mostly
was mainly
friends in
just
badminton?
the people I was training with. We
Yeah,
a pretty close group between like
yeah,
Michael Campbell, Martin Campbell. We're all like good friends with each other.
right.
So
So
yeah, it's the majority of them. Even though I was at uni, again, it was kind of like similar to my school experience. I was rushing into uni and then rushing back to the training hall. So again, there was limited kind of interaction between
so
that.
when did you go uni, Paddy?
That was 2011 to 2016, Strathclyde Uni.
And what did you do?
It was a marketing degree.
Wow, that's a curveball.
Yeah, well,
That's
started
good.
off with a bit of languages, and then I realised,
Let's go on the market and let's talk about coffee.
right, okay,
We've
let's
got
do it.
7 minutes left. Let's talk about coffee, right?
I've just finished a cup there.
Have you? So tell me about how it starts. How did you get into coffee? Is it so? What's the business called? Sorry,
PowerPress coffee.
PowerPress Coffee. And how and why did you get into it?
So probably how I got into it, I started, obviously we were in airports quite a lot, travelling around early mornings, and everyone was drinking coffee, and I was sitting there with a hot chocolate thinking, I feel quite left out here. So I gradually, I think it was one of the coaches started to persuade me to like have a coffee, and it started off at the
It might wake
sweetest,
you up. It might wake you up a bit, kind of idea, right?
yeah, it was the sweetest caramel latte you could ever find.
Yeah, yeah.
And then from there, it was just kind of gradually started just doing a bit of like research on it, reading into it, drinking lots of it,
Did
and
you?
I kind of went from my caramel lattes down to my lattes into just like black coffee, and then I just
Yeah.
started using it before each session. I just felt quite a good boost
Did you?
when I was training.
And how much coffee can you have? And yeah, so can you explain to me what the product is you supply? What is the product? Is it coffee? Is it a liquid form? What is it?
So it's coffee beans, like it can be ground as well. So the kind of the premise of the business is it's me and my brother that set it up. So
Right.
it's kind of like our mutual frustration with like the supplements market. So like
Yeah.
there's a lot of products out there claiming to be X, Y, and Z and full of stuff that isn't so good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Um, So we wanted to just kind of strip it back. Caffeine is like one of the supplements that's legal and actually proven to improve performance. So why not have it in your coffee?
Is it unique, Paddy? Is it something that you just thought of just from yourself and your own experiences, or is there? Did you see it somewhere, or did you read about it somewhere, or you just looked into coffee? Was it?
So it's my experience of using it. My brother's a strength conditioning coach, so he was working with quite a lot of like Olympic, Commonwealth Games athletes that were always looking for like the next kind of big supplement to kind of help their performance.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I'll give the credit to him for the actual idea.
Yeah. Okay.
It was basically just his research into like the benefits of caffeine and
Yeah.
why athletes are using all these other things when actually they don't do anything. So it was just, and my enjoyment of coffee, it just kind of merged together and came into this
And you
business
probably
idea.
find that those people that are taking said supplements are probably also loading up with coffee as well, right?
Yeah, they probably are. Yeah,
Yeah, it's probably
there's a
the
whole
first thing
mix
they do
of.
in the morning is have the strongest coffee they can get to give themselves a boost, right?
Yeah,
So is it basically is it coffee beans and ground coffee? Is that what it is?
yeah.
Why
And
did I
then we
think
have.
I'd seen a bottle? Why did I think I'd seen a bottle?
Oh yeah, we did have we had little kind of caffeine shot bottles.
That's
It was
it.
like
That's
100
what I thought.
mil. They were pretty punchy.
That's the is. I think it's probably not. I think you're probably understating it there. I think it's probably a whoosh.
They wake you up anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're enjoying it. So how long has that been since you've started? And where do you
So we
work from as well?
say that again, sorry.
Where do you work from? Where
So
are
a lot
you?
of it is
You've got
just
a
from
unit, or what is
Glasgow.
it? Would you make it? What?
So we work with a local coffee roaster in Glasgow.
Brilliant.
So basically, they do that kind of side of things for us, and then we take it to Strathclyde Uni and have it all caffeine tested and like across the different brew methods, so you can kind of track your
Wow.
caffeine content.
Of each one. Wow. And
Yeah.
do you spend? Is there a lot of time spent on where the coffee comes from? Where's the best coffee come from? Where do you use?
So we've got a Colombian, a Brazilian, we've got a Brazilian slash Ethiopian one, and then we've got a kind of rotating new one each month that comes from. So this month we got one from Honduras.
No, wow.
Um, so yeah, it's I mean it's really interesting just kind of the actual side of the coffee of like where it comes from, the different kind of flavors you're actually getting out of it, and then obviously the sporting side of it where we've got people contacting us looking like, oh, what one do you recommend for certain types of exercise, and
Really?
yeah, so it's an interest. Again, it's another challenge, and I'm enjoying it so far.
And do you find that? Do you find that? Are you quite aggressive with in the marketing and the sales and the business side of things? Do you find yourself quite passionate about? Do you tend to get into things and get quite into them kind of thing and just determined to make it work? And because it's starting a business is always hard in anything, isn't it? But I think probably as an athlete you are taught to be driven and focused and all that, right?
Yeah, I kind of relate it to my kind of path through badminton. Is like it's the steady path of knocking certain targets over
Definitely.
almost. So it's the same with the business. It's just again we've both my brother and myself have just self-funded it so far, so it's just kind of we know it's not going to be £1 million company overnight, but it's just
Not
those
at
kind of
all.
steady steps that we're taking. As
Absolutely.
long as we can see progress, and
I absolutely
it's
take my hat off to you. I think anybody starting any business is always difficult, but I have got put some thought into. I'm in sales myself, and I know what it takes to be successful. I've done what I do for 25 to 30 years, and I know what it takes, and I know the traits of a sports person and the dedication and the determination that you guys have in sport to do what you do every day without quite often without anybody else pushing you. If you know what I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not it's not like you don't need a trainer anymore, right? And it's effectively like you taking control of yourself again. Do you put yourself under a lot of pressure?
I push myself quite a lot. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I'll always look like today. I've probably been working from 8 o'clock. I'll finish up at about by the time obviously it's not coffee related, but I'll finish up about 8:30 tonight.
really.
Um, I'll never really sit still and just think I'm just going to chill. I struggle to switch off.
Yeah. I mean, it is, isn't it? I mean, I don't know how big the market is for coffee, but everybody. I mean, I don't drink coffee, but I have a coffee at 11 o'clock every morning. I drink instant, odd instant, but I drink at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's time for a cappuccino kind of idea with a frother on the top, and it's like there's people. You look at Nestle making those capsules and all that stuff. It's a big market, right? Coffee is a big, big. I don't know how much it is, but it's monstrous, right?
Yeah, it's growing a lot, as well as even like around here, there's a lot of coffee shops that are popping up. But kind of what we're doing, there's not a huge amount of people doing it, which has its pros. It also has its cons in terms of just kind of educating people on
Yeah.
caffeine.
And how are you able to? Are you able to just supply to coffee shops and that kind of thing? Or not really.
Yeah, we can do. We've
Have
it's
you
not
tried
been our
that at
main
all? Hmm.
main target. We've kind of predominantly we're stocking kind of a few gyms in London and around other parts of the UK,
Yeah,
so
brilliant.
they were our focus points.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Well, that's good. I think I'll finish up with the sports questions. I don't have much time. In fact, I might be run out of time here. I might have run out of time. I have to come back to you and ask you the questions about badminton. I haven't asked you. Everybody wants to ask all the questions about who you played. When was the best? Okay, what's the best game you've played, Paddy?
I
What's the
think it's
best
got
game
to
you
be
remember ever playing? Ever in your
World
career?
Championships 2017 when we in Glasgow when me and Martin beat a Dutch pair. It was probably the most kind of pumped up for a match I've ever been.
Really? Did you like it? You enjoyed your badminton career? No regrets, right?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I think as I got older, I needed the bigger, like the Commonwealth Games. I needed the World Championships to kind of get really motivated for.
Right.
Um,
Did they call that peaking? That's what Andy Cook was talking about. Peaking.
yeah,
Peaking. You
peaking for the
try
big
and peak
ones.
for those things, right?
Yeah, and I suppose I was quite, I don't know if it's lucky or just well planned, but when it came to like both the Commonwealth Games and World Championships, like we always played like pretty well, like near our best level, which is obviously what you want going into those ones.
Yeah. And how do you feel about playing against people that you know you're going to lose? Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Sorry. How do you feel about playing? How do you feel about playing against people where you feel I've always had a thing. I don't know how to put this. I've always had a thing where I didn't mind who I play against. I'll play with, frankly, the best people I can play against. I don't care, right? If I go and I try and get 1 point and I've never got a point and I get 1 point, I'm happy. I know a lot of people that will think, oh God, I'm just not even going to try because I'm never going to win this. And have you always given 1,000,000%, no matter who you play against? Or has there ever been an element of where you've said, do you know what? We're never going to win this. What's the point?
I don't think there has been. I think so. Say when we played, I think Go and Tan from Malaysia. You go in, you've got nothing to lose,
Yes, I agree.
um, and you usually play better. To be honest, um, it was often harder when me and Martin went into tournaments and we were like seeded, and you've got this young pair from I don't know wherever just biting at your ankles. They're the
Yeah,
ones that you really need to just be fully switched on. You can't really
yeah,
ease
yeah.
off at all. So those are sometimes obviously the harder matches, just to kind
Yeah.
of stay
I
focused and
guess
get.
there's a lot of names in these countries. There are so many people of an exceptional quality that you've conceivably never ever heard of, and it's quite a lot of times you would think, you know, like China, the population's billions, so the chance that that I know that their bottom division players can still be pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, like we played a couple of tournaments, and I think it was in Poland, and had like a young Taipei team over playing it, and we seemed to face them first round of each one, and I think those guys went on to like top 10, top 20 in the world. So it's
Way
yeah,
amazing.
you never know fully who you're coming up against when you're especially playing the Asian like
Yeah, yeah,
players in the European tournament.
yeah. Good. Good. Let's wrap it up with that, though. Thank you very much. Can I ask you one last question? Why did you start playing badminton, and what did you love about it? Or,
Start or stop?
Mhm. Well, why did you start playing? Was it just because your brother started? Did he start first?
Yeah, he started first. I think it was just because he was playing. I went along to the club.
Was it simple as that?
Yeah, and just kind of went on the bandwagon of being competitive and wanting to beat my brother.
And it was available to you in a place that with very little else to do, probably, right?
Yeah. Again, it's like you said earlier on. I think tennis was very like summer based when I was a kid. I would play badminton in winter, and then, like I say, it escalated the training, and it kind of took over 12 months of the year.
Nice. Great, let's wrap it up with that. So thank you very much, Paddy. That was awesome. And
No worries,
good luck with the business and good luck with your golf.
Thank you very much. I need it.
Take care. Yeah, me too. Cheers. Take care.